It was towards the end of my medicine studies, the end of my 5th year, beginning of the 6th year. We could say that I was not so interested in the clinical aspect of the studies anymore, and I thought that I could be given a more basic study, and I came back to lab studies, to the anatomy department. It was internal at the beginning of my degree course, and that is when I found out what research was and fell in love. My big question is how the brain planning is organized. We could take the brain as a big city or something like that. We could see how its planning is, the town planning, regions, borders, its conduction terms, and how they're placed in the space, what designs they have. I was mainly interested in seeing how complicated it is, how many parts they have, how many units there are, why they are as they are, and all that. And once I questioned that, then I realized that there was a lot of field, and it has still been coming with me. My wife was collaborating with me as a student. She started working with me in the lab. We have studied our research courses together. We have always had a small team consisting of my wife and me, and we have always been working together. And then we have had several doctoral students that have prepared their thesis. Some of them have been able to stay, and step by step, there has also been a group that has been changing as times went by. Sometimes people move, but we could say that the thing became more complex as more fans have been supplied, more money has been provided, and this has allowed us to have more scholars, more lab possibilities, and this makes it go on and grow up. The anatomy book explains the basis of anatomy, how the parts of the brain are studied. We could speak of the basis of development and evolution. We provide much more specific models, more clear and logic, almost geometric, of how it is organized. Sometimes I joke and I say that the previous description of the brain with the nucleus was like the description of a bag of potatoes. It was said that the bag was the general shape, and then that there were a series of things inside that were the potatoes. But one could not see the order because there is no order in a bag of potatoes, and one had to learn potato after potato, with no apparent order. Then the result of our efforts in research have given the possibility of generating the order inside the bag. It is not disordered as it seems, but there are several shelves, and we have the lower shelf, the one in the middle, and the upper one, with some cubicles, and each potato is placed in a specific place. We could say that this has helped, and this is why our book is nearly the first modern book that approaches that. What we're doing as regards to the complication of the brain is interesting for everybody that works with it, so it is not strange to find someone that is specialized in this. There are not many people that work on that basic question, so when we generate a new scheme, a new subsection, a new concept, a lot of people of this research sector are interested in it. But of course, in the clinical specialty, in the streets, people do not know the ABC of the brain. One just knows that he has a brain. We could say that we have, on the one hand, the studies that, speaking a modern language, we call descriptive, that consist of designing genes expression, and that we have the genomes, the human genome, and the genome of many lab animal species. We can simply see the development of the brain, which cells are expressing a certain group of genes in an adult brain, which helps separate areas, and we could say that this is our starting point when we aim to approach an area, enlighten an area. We start applying genetic markers, see their space and time distribution in their development, and then, if possible, by comparing from a species to another one, which means time self-dimension, human beings' evolution. It is the evolution of all the vertebrates in which several changes have been introduced for millions of years. In recent years, we have made a last change that is very gratifying. We have nearly achieved a definitive model, and I think it's going to be difficult to improve. Obviously, it is satisfaction due to the work realized, and it is also a very important additional help. Obviously, we are already given the best possible use in the extension of the team activities, of course. Curiosity, supported by reason, arises from the fact of being curious, aiming to know. Nowadays, knowledge is complex, since it requires reason in order to assimilate and explore, and that is what research is about.